Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Face to Face. My name is Godfred Akoto. Today I'll be chatting with a young member of parliament who has risen through the ranks. He represents Effutu and is considered one of the leading firebrands of the New Patriotic Party. He has gone to court over several issues and has several landmark rulings to his name. Today I'll be asking him the things that drive him and what he sees when he sits in Ghana's parliament. Alexander Afenyo-Markin is my guest on Face to Face. Honorable, welcome.
Thank you so much indeed.
I have given you quite the build-up. But for such a young man, you have achieved a lot, especially in Effutu. What is the connection, apart from being born there? What is the connection for you?
Well, I would simply put it that having grown in that community, seeing things for myself, that general desire to effect a change has largely been the driving force. I didn't grow up in luxury. I saw poverty when growing up. I saw others providing leadership. And I felt that if I'm given a chance, I can do something different and perhaps better. And the fact that I'm the youngest ever to be given that opportunity in the Fourth Republic. Of course, I'm aware that Harun Eseku was 31 when he had the opportunity in 69. So in terms of our current dispensation, I felt that, well, I am the youngest ever to be given the opportunity. So I have to do what will make the youth have confidence. And then also to inspire the future generation so that when anybody gets up one day as a young person and expresses the desire to lead, nobody will say that, oh, what can you do? But that person will be given the opportunity. I recall in 2004 when I made my first attempt, my campaign motto was Somehe. Somehe. And I remember many of the old men...
try me.
Yes, try me. Many of the old men said, no way, won't. You're too young. Winneba, no. It's an old city. So I didn't give up. When I lost that opportunity, and you can imagine after winning your primaries, and the big men in the party would use a backdoor means to kick you out and bring somebody else whom they considered much more experienced and older. 2005, 2006, I prepared myself to say, okay, let me go to the assembly. So I went through the assembly elections where I was elected in the community where I grew up, Kojobedu. Even that, there was some turbulence. At a point I gave up though. I remember I had to rush back to the UK and after filling the forms, and my campaign member team decided to submit my forms to EC, although I told them that I'm not going to contest again. But they insisted that no, they would want to do it, and they did. And I won the election in absentia. And after winning, I came down and there was presiding member election. Then I contested again and I won after 3 rounds. And then came 2008. The understanding in the 2004 issue of my stepping down was that in 2008 I would get the opportunity to contest unopposed. But you know how power is. The then MP, late Owusu J, God bless his soul, wanted to contest. And it was a fierce contest. So, well, I lost by a single vote. He was allowed to vote. It was a tie, and they said he should vote because he's a member of the constituency executive committee. So he voted.
And how did you feel about that?
But we took it to court. We went to Swedru High Court to get that election annulled. But along the line, elders of the party intervened. I had to withdraw, and he had to go. We lost 2008 elections. We lost Effutu. And then I became the de facto leader of the party in the constituency. Got my people ready. I said, look, let's reorganize the party. So 2009, we had constituency elections. It was also another fight. We went to court. People, took the matter to court. Eventually, we managed to resolve the court issue. Then the constituency executives that got elected were stable. They worked. We put in the structures. And then 2010 came assembly elections. Though assembly elections are not partisan, but we know ourselves. We are politicians. We know that this is NDC MPP. So I would say, in real terms, that the MPP assembly members, including my good self, were 4 out of the 16. So the determination was that we needed to win more, because if you're able to win certain areas, it sends a signal. So that was a strategy, and eventually we got 8-8. So we had 4 more seats. We snatched some NDC seats, I will call it. Then I remember my own elections. My re-election was a hot race. Some ministers of state in the Atamil's administration were there in my electoral area. Because, of course, I was seen as the one leading the charge. So if the case is that I lose my election, then it breaks down the MPP.
Yeah.
So it wasn't easy. The long and short of it is that I won my seat. I managed to lead my other colleagues, and we got the other seat. So it became 8-8. Then came 2011 parliamentary primaries, which I easily won.
Yeah.
And then eventually landed in Parliament.
By this time, nobody was challenging you.
A lawyer challenged me, but we're just 2, and I beat him to it. It was 2015 that I went unopposed.
Okay.
So coming to Parliament, we're given the orientation that, look, Parliament, you work in committees. I was in the Defense and Interior Committee, sent to Finance Committee. We got very senior members who were ready to teach us. And in this, I'm not referring to only MPP senior members, but even senior members on the other side. One thing that people don't know about parliamentary politics is that the debate that is seen on the House floor is just a minute part of parliamentary work. About 95-97% of the work is done by consensus building. And we share knowledge, we share information, we teach each other. It will surprise you the many NDC young parliamentarians that I have mentored and all that. I went through the same thing. I can immediately mention E.T. Mesa. Yes, I consulted a lot. Though I was in opposition or in minority. The second deputy speaker, Bagbin, when he was majority leader, I would go to him, learn a lot from him. Kumbo, he was my lecturer at the law school, so it was an easy go. The Speaker of Parliament himself. Because right at the outset, we were told that don't come here and create the impression that you're going to fight. You need to learn and make your mark. I should also say that in our time, we met some journalists in Parliament, those parliamentary press corps. Those gentlemen, shaped our attitude and our thinking. The impression was created that if you want to raise an issue, ground same on facts. With that, it tells you that research first. If you want to be a good politician, then make your point and always win on point. If you allow yourself to be thrown out that, oh, you lied, then you lose some credibility. So that was at the back of my mind. And let me here mention 2 gentlemen Elton John Brobe, and Richard Scott. And then the then Dean of Parliamentary Press Corps, who was also, teaching me and others how to properly place ourselves in areas of relevance. Edwin Arthur. Okay, so with this, you had no choice. You had to make your mark. And I was determined, because you see, I had come to take over from a cabinet minister. Yeah. Such a huge image. The expectation out there in the constituency was that at least I would be able to demonstrate that my being elected was not a default. So that was at the back of my mind, not to disappoint them. And with this, by the grace of God, we went through the first term.
You made your way as a man for causes. And by causes, I mean, even before you gained national attention, not via the ballot box as a member of parliament. You gained national attention as a man who took up causes he believed in and went to court on a number of issues. But there are those who also say that perhaps you just liked seeing your name in the headlines. Does Afenyo-Markin truly believe in causes, or he is just a controversial headline maker?
Well, the facts will speak. There's one thing trying to project yourself for the headline, and it's another thing being seen in the headline for the purpose of substance. No newspaper would be projecting you if they don't see substance in what you do. So on that score, I leave it out there for the public to judge. But I can say that everything I did was based on conviction, what I believed in and what my party believed in. You see, in opposition,
you said your party, but it wasn't everything you did.
That's why I said what I believed in and what my party.
Okay.
So, in instances where I felt strongly about the matter, that the party has not taken a position, and for opposition is free for all right, but with some focus.
Yeah.
So, if there's a strong matter, you are a lawyer. Fortunately, my profession saw me in court a number of times. So, if I felt that I could take this matter up, why not? At the end of the day, an example, the Yoko cases that I felt strongly about and took them up today, those cases have become reference points for other lawyers to seek ventilation for their clients. Because I thought that, look, the Anti-Money Laundering Act, the Yoko Act, nobody was testing it. And to be frank, a lot of lawyers were even afraid to take up Yoko cases.
Yeah.
They were afraid, very, very much afraid. Somebody's account is frozen and nobody wants to touch it. So I thought that Yoko and FIC needed to be challenged. So there were cases I will lose at the High Court. I won't give up. We'll go to Court of Appeal and land at the Supreme Court. It's a contribution we've made for democracy, rule of law, and Mother Ghana. If you look at a recent case of where Civil Service Association Union, some union executives took a matter to the Supreme Court for interpretation. As whether or not civil servants can take active part in partisan politics or can't be elected and all that. This is an area that others had tested the law, though. But it came to a point where even my own constituency, the NDC executives, some were in the civil service, and I took the matter up. So when I saw the court referring to that Kojoga Adra case, I said, oh, to God be the glory. After all, I lost this case, but today it's become a reference point. The famous Benjamin Mensa case, electoral commission, where the whole process had to be annulled and all that for fresh elections. This was a typical case of my writing to Electoral Commission, raising an issue with them. They wouldn't even respond. Then eventually, we had to go to court. The impunity was just too much. If they are listed. So it is not a case of being a litigant, but it's a case of ensuring that the laws are applied for the general good of all of us. The law would ensure certainty. You see the men's gold saga, if people were bold some years back to enforce the law, we wouldn't get to where we've gotten to. There are many cases in this country that people simply would not want to respect the law. And it becomes politics. Then people with impunity, they get away with it. Ghana Water, where I chair its board, I can tell you that in the next 10, 20 years, we're going to have serious difficulty with water supply. And I tell you that for a good reason. Galamsey operations, our water bodies are being destroyed. When government wants to intervene, the excuse would be, oh, we don't have employment. The government will not get the support. Politicians would go underground to fuel agitation. Meanwhile, we need our water bodies to survive. So you see how the laws are there to regulate even our commercial, industrial activities, exploration of our mineral resources and all that. Yet, for political expediency, people would want to encourage certain conduct, and it goes round to affect the nation. We have a beautiful country. We have a lot of potential. What is left is for us to pinch ourselves and say that we obey the laws. Kufuor tried it with enforcing road safety, ensuring our drivers are disciplined, where judges were empowered, the police were empowered to be going to court. That thing brought discipline. But look here, during the elections in 2008, the opposition made it a campaign issue. And people were now being freed. That spirit died. And when Atamils came, he could not carry on. So today you ask, how many drivers are sent to court? When that thing was being done, it led to some discipline. Come to the Okada issue. During the NDC time, Atamils time, they tried to enforce the law using Okada for public transport. The motorbike, I said, look, already our law enforcement are stressed. So we should not allow motorbikes to be used after 6. We should not allow it to be used for commercial purposes and all that. Another public outrage. Oh, the unemployment, etc., etc. The police were being attacked here and there. So some way, somehow, they have to relax the rules. Because you also don't want, public opinion to be hitting you too much. Today, what do we hear? Motorbikes are being used more and more to commit crimes. The latest being the unfortunate murder of Ahmed. May God bless his soul. May his soul rest in perfect peace. That's young investigative journalist and all that. So I think that having seen a little bit of West Africa as an ECOWAS parliamentarian, I've traveled around, I've seen other countries in the sub-region, and I see a brighter future in Ghana. But that brighter future is somewhat tainted with our love for impunity.
Hold on to that thought, Honorable. You're watching Face to Face. When we return, I'll let him explain what he means by that, and also why he seems to have a problem with the former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, and why he went to court over that matter. We'll also discuss Ghana Water, where he's the board chair. He's already broached that issue. I have a few questions for him regarding our water supply. Keep watching Face to Face.
We spice up truly enriched conversations, social interviews, and policy-oriented discussions that will keep you updated on the progress of the nation.
Those security guys who were supposed to protect them, I'm sure by now somebody must have all of them arrested. They must all be arrested because it's an unprovoked attack.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Let your voice be heard with the hashtag Breakfast Daily. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.
Welcome back to Face with the Honourable Member of Parliament for Effutu, Alexander Kwamena Afenyo-Markin. And before he went, he was talking about impunity. Honourable, please complete your point.
I'm saying that we've tainted our future with our love for impunity. We as a people will call for justice, but we will be the same people to condemn justice when justice is manifesting.
We blame you politicians for it, though.
Of course, it will continue. Look,
you don't expect it to change.
The political enterprise is driven by public opinion.
There are those who say these days in Ghana, more self-interest than public interest.
Political democracy is driven by public opinion all over the world. All over the world. So, if the public wants a certain direction, a politician is likely to gauge it and exercise a discretion. Why would somebody commit an offense and would want to use a politician for ventilation? So I'm saying that if we get a contract, I am able to facilitate somebody's private business, or I'm able to create an enabling environment for somebody to get a job, the first thing the person is supposed to do is to do that job and do it well. It's not to abuse that opportunity. I'll give you an example. Maslock. First time Maslock came, people were giving out loans, they didn't pay. Atamus came, they didn't pay. John Mahama, they didn't pay. MPP, Akufo-Addo, they won't pay. Because it is coming from Abain. Why should that be? Then you turn around and go back to the same government and say, you need support, there's unemployment. There are a lot of government state interventions that were well intended from Kwame Nkrumah time through to Achampo. It is government that would use policy to help somebody to grow. You, the private man, you have your initiative. It's government that will push you. Whether through restrictive tender, sole sourcing, competitive tender, it is government that will help the private sector to grow. Point is the private sector taking advantage positively to grow business and employ more, or is the private sector taking advantage and abusing government initiatives? I see that unfortunate trend of the private sector abusing government opportunities and initiatives as being the root cause of our retrogression.
Okay.
The problem we have is that people are failing to appreciate the fact that it's a cycle. All right? So, with all sympathies, somebody would invest in men's gold. The investment will go bad. Then another person will say, government should pay, forgetting that the same government is supposed to construct your road, your drains. The same government is supposed to provide social services. I think that such demands on government are just unreasonable. We must have a dream for this country. I think collectively, if there's that general consciousness, that general desire, that we want to succeed, we want to help, we want to get things done.
Do you have a problem with Professor Avoke?
I don't.
What do you say to those who allege that you engineered his exit out of UEW via proxy, that you were the same person who went to court against him?
Well, I'm hearing this the first time. I've not heard such allegations.
They are there.
Well,
was he so bad for UEW?
It could be people's own imaginations. I cannot say anything to that, but I can say that this can be true. I took up UEW matters as far back as 2013. The governance issues there were disturbing, and the same professors were bringing these issues to my attention as their member of parliament. I wrote several letters to the then Minister of Education, drawing her attention to certain irregularities, particularly on the appointment of the governing council and the subsequent appointment of the Vice-Chancellor you just mentioned, the former VC, Prof. Avoke himself. In my days as a presiding member, we were very close. Every opportunity was there for us to have agreed on the disturbing issues. But he wouldn't make himself available. To the extent that even when government officials wanted to intervene, I don't know who his advisors are, but he pulled back. So it wasn't an issue of anybody wanting to take him off his seat. Perhaps he fell on his own sword. Okay, when people want to look out for victor's justice, I mean, that's the kind of results, that they get. But personally, if you ask me, I don't have anything against him. On the issue of corporate social responsibility, Winneba has no gold, although we are told that in years gone, we had gold. But we don't have gold today. Our only gold is the university. The poverty levels are high. The unemployment situation unbearable. Young men with potential to get into entrepreneurship are not getting their base. So coming from the private sector, as far back as 2006, when I was a presiding member, I took this step that look, some supplies should be reserved for the local folks so that they can do them. We need some young men to be doing business and to be helping the community. If you don't create that enabling environment, you can't even grow the community, because the problem here was many businessmen were coming to do business with the university and taking their monies out of Winneba, especially even contractors. They will come with their own workforce. And the burden on me as an MP, where you meet people and say, look, we are artisans. We went to campus, we want jobs, and they are not giving us jobs because the contractor says he has his own workforce. Lectureship. Many Winnebarians who qualified to teach at the university were not given the opportunity. I myself became a victim of it. 2010, I was employed at the university as a lecturer. Then I said no. I had other things doing, so I could not take that up. So I opted for the part-time lectureship. And that was on. For reasons unknown to me, I had my appointment letter. I had to go to the lecture hall to teach. Nothing happened. My course was given to somebody I didn't know. Nobody will write to me. You go to the dean's office, you go to Vice-Chancellor's office, You go to Pro-VC's office and nobody was telling you anything. So I experienced the reality of the challenges that people were facing. And I said, oh, is this a university? At a point, they attributed it to the fact that, oh, I was an MPP and I was most likely to be the candidate for 2012 and all that. The bottom line is, we needed a better enabling environment for quality teaching, for community university relationship, where people would see the benefits that the university was offering. We're not getting that.
Based on your considerations?
Based on the general consensus of the people.
But is that a metric by which you run a university? Shouldn't the standard for those things be for the university itself to decide? You are telling us that you basically interfered.
The university,
based on general considerations of the people.
The university does not operate on its own island.
But the standards are its own.
Yes, but they are coterminous with the general needs of the people. All right. For instance, the lands upon which the structures were built were never sold. The chiefs gave it out to the state free. When you go into the history, our chiefs never took compensation for giving out those lands. So it is the right of the people of Effutu to demand for corporate social responsibility and local content. It is their right and far right. Listen, and make no mistake, I was not dealing with personalities. Neither was I against personalities. The current administration, led by Afro-Broni, go and Google me. There are a number of times that I've taken him on. I've taken his administration on. It got to a point that I said I wasn't seeing my way clear. We are looking at the interests of the people. So it isn't that, oh, somebody was hated and somebody is loved. No. At the end of the day, the people would ask one simple question. Have we had an improved relationship with the university community? Students demand a better environment to study. Are they getting it? If you're a member of parliament, yours is to advocate, yours is to push. Because if you don't push, it will come back. And they will say that, what have you done? What did you do? If you go to the grassroots, these are questions. And legitimately so, they must ask. Students, when you go to the campuses to campaign, they will tell you that we have no Wi-Fi. What are you doing? The number of petitions that I receive in my office from students, somebody has been marked down. They write, they are not even being given a fair hearing. The next person is to write to their MP to intervene, not to interfere. Don't confuse intervention with interference.
The reason why I'm having difficulty with interference and intervention under these circumstances is, in every university community in the world, there are these problems. But you do not find the member of parliament for that area going to court to remove the person at the helm of affairs. And with the line of problems that you gave, it looked like you told the line of your initial statement. You looked at public opinion and its political costs, perhaps, to your seat as motivation for taking on this particular course.
It depends on the gravity of the situation.
Was it that bad?
And taking a particular decision is a matter of discretion and choice. If you live with a problem, you know how it affects you. Therefore, if you ask me whether or not I have regrets regarding my intervention, I will say no. If you ask me whether or not I have issues with certain individuals, I will say no. If you ask whether I would act the way I acted yesterday against any person in management or at the helm of affairs today, should they do anything against the interests of the community? I'll say yes. If you are a leader, it's for you to exercise discretion on matters of concern. If you decide not to take action, it will come back to haunt you. And in everything you do, there will be people who criticize you, others who hail you. So you leave it to posterity. But I know that any day, the people of Effutu will remember me as the one who fought for their interests at the university. And to that extent, I have no regret. Now, if you talk about job losses, that okay, in the process, somebody has lost his job. I think that it's a matter of George Owen. Last week when we were at the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court, after dismissing the application of Professor Avoke and Co., said that, look, this is out of our ruling. This is informal. And they said, can't they, the applicant, engage the university for safe landing? In other words, one of the Supreme Court judges said, look, you can't force an employer to employ you. If you're a chief executive, you go to your office, it is locked. Today, tomorrow it is locked. You now would have to sit down with your employer to have a safe landing rather than the litigation. I believe that if there are issues outstanding, the doors are open for them to engage rather than this fighting, because this fighting will not bring any solution. And it's a matter of somebody's decision to make. But to me, I know that the opportunity was given to those who were in office at the time to correct the wrong, to open up for the benefit of all, to ensure that leadership that was not benefiting students and the university community in general was kind of brought to some halt for a new era to emerge. But that is not to suggest that this new administration is all perfect. I keep telling the respected Reverend Father to keep an eye on his principal officers and everybody, because if he fails the people, they will not forgive him. The expectation out there is a change. Student satisfaction is key. Lecturers need the necessary support to be able to feel proud about the task they've taken upon themselves to teach. Unnecessary discrimination, favoritism and all that, transfers that are not justified, victimization, unfair treatment. I keep telling him that, Father, there are times that we have had serious disagreements, that he has felt that perhaps I want to tell him what he should do. But I say, no, Father, not so. Because I hear the cries down there. At least when we walk around, people tell us. So it is for his administration to also succeed. And if the administration succeeds, the better it would be for the image of the university and the Effutu community as a whole. Because the university should drive investment. It should be the pivot around which everything will revolve. And that is my focus. If they are able to increase student admission and they are running courses that are very attractive, the town will be busy. The businessmen, the petty traders will get business opportunities. There's a real estate project that I initiated. And even before completion, people are rushing to acquire interest in them. Many people are now moving to Winneba to take advantage of the business opportunities there. Estate developers are rushing to Winneba as I speak to you, buying lands today in Winneba. You can go and verify. Jenjazi, Jahazi, Atechedo, Osubompenin, Atetu lands that were just a year ago selling at around 1,000 Ghana cedis per plot, 100 by 100 or 100 by 80. Today, if you don't negotiate well, you would have to pay 10,000. All right? What does that tell you? They've seen an opportunity. People see the place as a place of choice. They've seen a future there. So the effort we made, now the dividends are coming up.
Okay.
And I see 5 years down the line, Winneba is going to be a major center of commercial activities. I have declared this year a year for entrepreneurs in Winneba.
Oh.
And I'm encouraging every young man in Winneba, every young lady in Winneba to take advantage of the enabling environment. I, on my own, with my resources here and there, intend to support as many young businessmen as possible to start their own small businesses. I am also encouraging the university, just as they did last year, to open up for the many young men who have registered their businesses to do supplies, renovation, construction works that do not exceed 250,000 Ghana cedi, 500,000 up to $1 million, that would not require sophisticated engineering. The young entrepreneurs should be given the opportunity to bid and to win, and they should be tried and tested. Try them, test them, and see what, because when they get their money, it will stay in Winneba. The artisans, the carpenters, the masons, the steel benders, the painters, they will get opportunity. Our farmers would sell their produce. There will be markets. People will rush to Winneba. So the whole issue about Winneba cannot just be limited to somebody fighting a personal cause. No, there must be an opening. Now the people are calling for a new market at the Sanko area. All right? The Sanko area. Because we had a market near the central campus. Now they are calling for a new market. Now you see a lot of activities going on. Drivers want new lorry stations because the town is growing. If you come to the Don Bosco, Sanko, going to Nswechi, Jahaze, towards the new estate, now that place is becoming busy. That was not the case some years back.
So it gives you hope for your constituency.
It gives the people hope.
Okay. Alexander Afenyo-Markin has a lot of hope for his constituency.
In fact, I'm very optimistic.
And the developments ongoing. If you are in that community, you can send us messages on face-to-face as you are watching us. We'll be right back.
Get the backstory of the major news stories on press conference. Hear from the editors and the reporters behind the biggest stories of the week.
The university needs to think and reconsider. There are women who are in our universities who have been sexually molested for grades. That doesn't matter.
Press conference every Sunday at 9 p.m. with Duke Mensa Opoku, only on CTTV.
Welcome back to Face to Face, and it's been an interesting conversation, and we are entering the final stages of it with Alexander Afenyo-Markin. Always exciting speaking to him. Honorable, you're also board chair of Ghana Water Company Limited. How is our water supply doing?
Well, so far so good. As far as I know, a lot of contracts have been awarded for pipelines to various communities. I think that Ghana Water has a lot of potential. We need an attitudinal change.
At Ghana Water or the whole country?
Among the workers. We need the support of the union. What I've realized is that anytime you want to introduce something new that will benefit the company, people who are opposed to it will use the union to attack it. At Ghana Water, all that it takes for an initiative to die is the hoisting of a union red flag. And I won't hide my feelings. I won't hide how I feel about the union.
It's frustrating you.
I think
Are you
that
frustrated?
the union has been used to frustrate, distract progressive thinking in the company.
Do you discuss changes with the union?
Of course, but I mean, in all sincerity, if the union opens up to the board and management and tries to understand issues, for instance, I ask myself, the many illegal connections, the many people who take water without paying.
That's what you call water theft.
Yes.
Okay.
What support are we getting from the union? Because these are workers. These are workers who engage in this. All right? Suppliers are not accountable. Suppliers see themselves as being the ones to dictate to the company. Because at the end of the day, if you even want to do anything to straighten up and ensure value for money, you would hear the next moment a newspaper publication. And with this, it frustrates. We need an environment where workers will be more than ready to sacrifice their all, cooperate with whoever is in office. The situation where some will cooperate and some will not, situation where the attitude will be such that, oh, somebody would want to misinform the union, and then the union would start acting on the basis of misinformation. I'm sorry, we will not make a headway. We have a future. Our water system must improve. Government has invested so much. If you look at the desalination project,
that is locked
it is not an MPP initiative, but it's not an initiative that I will sit here and condemn because it was done by the NDC administration. At least, no matter what, that project was initiated to solve a problem. The situation today, we have to look at how to resolve the problem. It is not about somebody trying to use the union or hide behind the union to frustrate effort at resolving the problem. And I always say that, look, for instance, we have a workers' rep on the board. Most issues I expect the union or workers to engage their rep on the board to at least explain matters to them, because we need to work with them. We cannot be standing on one side and they are on the other side of the aisle. No, we need to work together. Ghana Water has a potential. Ghana Water can make more money and reinvest. We can do about 10 times what we are doing now.
If the unions come through for you.
If the union is ready to cooperate.
But what steps are you making are you taking to deal with the union on these things? Because
I
it
agree.
looks like you have great ideas, but you are frustrated by the union. Are you engaging the union?
Good question. That is the very first step. Not me as a person, the board.
Yeah.
That was the first step. But like I'm saying, perhaps we may have to do more. And perhaps they may also have to shift the more. I see a problem that most of the things that we try to do for parochial interests, you will see that the union is being used to, as it were, frustrate it. And I'm saying this bluntly because I want to see a change in that direction. I expect a union that would be all positive, a union that would even be more all engaging informally, a union that would be ready to be sitting down with the board management, and not a union that would allow itself to be fed with lies, inaccurate information. Then it will react on it. It doesn't help the cause of the company. It frustrates. And that's the point I'm trying to make.
One final question for you. What is your vision? If you were to leave Ghana Water, what would be the one thing that you would have hoped to accomplish as a board by the time you are done?
To cut down costs and increase revenue. The waste in the system is just too high. And to cut down that waste, the cooperation of management and staff will be required. Waste in terms of the resources that we have and how we spend them. In terms of human resource, you can get the best from Ghana Water, I tell you. People are well educated. The chief managers, the managers, our artisans, the general workers, well qualified. What is left is the attitudinal change. But if that attitudinal change, does not take place, and we don't get that cooperation when we want to effect it, then we'll be where we are. Then it will come to a time that although it's a private entity, there would be the government should intervene. And because water is an essential social service, government cannot sit unconcerned. Else it becomes a political tool. And I'm sure that is what some people have realized. When it comes to water, like electricity, can government look at water to collapse? No. Can government look at electricity company to collapse? No. So whatever it takes, government would intervene. But if we continue with that attitude, it will not help. Because if you have the potential, do we want to privatize water before we see the need to do better? I don't support privatization of water. I think that we can use attitudinal change to ensure growth. We can change our attitude and our perception about the way we go about things to add value and also to extend water to many places. There are a lot of communities that need water that are ready to pay, but we are not getting water to them because perhaps our own IGF to do these extensions are not there, because we would have to pay for the contractors. But many of the people who consume our water do not pay. Recently at Nyakrum area and Ejumaku area, there were massive disconnections, all because people were not paying. And when the managers checked, the meters that were used were Ghana Water meters. So it means that our own people, our meter readers, our distribution officers, they would go fix the meter and then they will not enter it in the records. So it is Ghana Water meter. Then you are not on the system. So you just get the water. Question is, whom do you pay that money to? Who comes to you for money? Is it free? It's not free. Is union encouraging management to dismiss this? Is union issuing out threats to people who engage in some of these illegalities? Is union really supporting management? Is union doing some orientation on regular basis for people in that category? Meter readers, general workers, those field officers. Is management getting the needed support from union to help deal with this? Because management can try, the board can initiate the policy, but at the grassroots, down there, you need a stakeholder who has the direct control to enforce it. Is that being done? Are we getting that cooperation? If that is done, perhaps we can even quadruple their salary. When I came, I increased salary by 20%. They themselves are
across the board?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. You can check. Our workers are not worse off. I'm not saying they are living in all luxury, but they are not worse off. They are better than many private companies. But we can do more. If all hands are on deck, we have even set up LIXU, that low income earners group. There is a department in charge of that under the Gamma initiative. So once all these things are there and we are getting the cooperation of our own workforce, the person should not think about himself that, okay, I can go and get the money, yet I will not bill somebody, and then the rich man will pay for the poor man who is taking water free and giving the money to me in my pocket. My own house here. For many years, the guy was not coming to read the meter. I was paying on account. One day I told the gentleman, do you know that I'm the board chairman?
What did he say?
He didn't know. He looked at me in shock. The next time he came to read it. There are many rich people, many houses that our meter readers don't read their meter. They just, give them their bill. Some people have not even lived there for many months. They've not been there. They give them huge bills, estimates, all right? They programmed it. And the areas that people connect free water, people find a way of, backdoor. And the rich man would have to pay. I'm saying that let there be fairness. The board chairman, the board members, the managing director, chief managers cannot do it. Those with place in charge, district managers, district distribution managers or officers, meter readers, the general workers who go out there to disconnect and who go out there to connect, the plumbers, the artisans we've engaged, if they work together, the union executives at the various levels, give them the needed orientation and drive them that, look, we only survive on the basis of revenue. Instead of somebody earning 5,000 for 6 months and not getting more, the person can earn 3,000 for years because we will be able to generate more. If today we are generating 65 million a month or 60 million a month, or we are averaging 55 million, it should tell you from the way I see things that we have the potential to make 150 million a month. Because what we get, I see it as a third of what we're supposed to get.
All right, then thank you very much, the Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin, for your time. It's been an outstanding conversation with an outstanding politician. My name is Godfred Akoto. Keep watching Face to Face. Have a good day.